What's going on? This your boy, Chris Simmons, coming to you with another podcast episode, man. And as you can see, I am by myself today. It is just me today. About my former co-host, Miss Tiffany Chanel, she will no longer be joining us on the show, unfortunately. I think because she had some other stuff going on. She texted me last Saturday and told me that she had to step down as co-host because of other stuff she's working on with what she's doing with her coaching. Um, was I hurt? I was a little hurt at first, man. It was kind of like, man, it kind of like hit me, kind of struck me a little bit. And I was like, man, like that kind of sucks how she can't be on anymore, but it's all good. I'm not mad at her for making the decision that she made because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. So I'll be all right. Like I'm good though. You know what I'm saying? It was good to have her on the show while she was here for a short amount of time. I think she was here for about 2 months. We started recording back in June. So yeah, it's been about 2 months since she was on the show. But I just want to update y'all on that. So it would mainly just be me for the most part. But I'm still continue to do it. I'm not gonna lie. When she decided to step down, I was kind of going back and forth a little bit. I was like, well, do I continue to do it? Do I continue to not do it? Because I got used to having her on the show. But I had to go back and figure out why I was doing this in the first place. I started with her. I started without her, so I got to continue to keep pushing the episodes forward and just continue to deliver that positive content, right? So I just had to go back to the real purpose of why I was doing this, and that's what made me continue. That's what made me, decide that hey, I got to continue to keep going because stuff's going to happen, right? Stuff's going to come up on your journey to success, on your journey to whatever it is you want to do. You're going to have some stuff that comes up. You're going to have some stuff that kind of throws you off a little bit, but you got to, know how to get back on track. So that's what we're going to do. And that's why I'm still doing the show, baby, still going strong. Do I want another co-host? Is the question. Now that the one that I had left, the question is, do I want another one? I would say yes. Like I love doing the show with other people. Like I feel like it brings a different perspective to the show. So if I do am fortunate enough to find one, I will definitely be able to take advantage of that. I'll definitely have this person on, whoever it is, and continue to keep adding to the show. I'm always looking for ways to add to the show. That was the whole point of having a co-host, was to be able to add some flavor to the show. And Miss Tiffany certainly added value to the show. So I'm really thankful that she was able to do it for the amount of time that she did it. But now we got to move into another phase through the podcast. So I will definitely be bringing more guests on. I'll be working on trying to bring guests on as well. Also looking to try to find some new co-host possibilities for this show. But we're going to continue to keep pushing it, man, because this is my passion. So that's what's going down. But anyway, man, I just thought I'd let y'all know that real quick. But other than that, I'm doing really well. I know I'm about to make a transition to a new apartment pretty soon. So I got 2 more days left until I finally get to move into the apartment. It's crazy how with these apartments and these college apartments, right? They only let you, hold on, what am I trying to say? They let you move in the middle of the month. So I signed a lease, right, from August to July. So I signed a full year lease for this new college apartment that I'm gonna be staying in. And they were saying like, okay, like your lease starts August 1st, but you can't move in until the middle of the month. And I think that was stupid. I was like, bro, why can't I move in August 1st? And they were like, well, because we have to do stuff to it. We have to clean it. We have to make sure everybody, all the old tenants are out of there and make sure it's clean. And I respect that, right? But at the same time, like, bro, it really take 3 weeks to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why I gotta pay for a full month when I'm not even gonna be there for the full month, right? So it didn't make sense. But like I said, I'm about to make that transition on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to being able to move up there. We'll have all new roommates. I actually know two of them. So I know 2 to 3 roommates that I'm going to be staying with. One was a random. I actually thought we were going to have a 4 bedroom with 3 people in there. but we kind of didn't get lucky. Like at the last minute, like literally the week before we were ready to move in, they sent us an email saying, "Oh, we added somebody else to your lease." And I was like, "Bruh," you know what I mean? Like I thought we was just gonna be us three in a 4 bedroom, because a 4 bedroom, in college that's cheaper, right? So college apartments, they overprice you for the single. If you want to live by yourself, they're gonna charge you extra. That's just really how college is. But like I said, that's why we did the 4 bedroom. That way you can split up the rent more, and it'll be more cheaper. So that's why we did the 4 bedroom. For those of y'all who've been to college or in college, you know what I'm talking about, right? They always want you to live with roommates, so that's what's going down. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is gonna be my last year. I'm going to my senior year at Kent State. So I'm about to graduate pretty soon with a degree in business management. So that's what's going down. So I'm just looking forward to being able to get back at it. They're making us wear masks. Shoot, man. I thought I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not gonna get into the debate. I'm not gonna get into it because I'm not gonna stress myself out over that. But they making us wear masks and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. Um, so I just gotta roll with it, man. I'm not gonna complain about it. I'm not gonna try to worry about it. This is my last year, so I'm gonna make the most out of it, man. But yeah, that's what's going down. The thing is, I still got stuff that I got to do for my old apartment, bro. They sending me like notices in the mail. So this morning I was on my way to yoga class, and literally from my old apartment, they sent me some charges. So I'm gonna hold these up right here. See, they sent me this statement right here, claiming that the room wasn't all the way clean, and they're trying to make me pay $34.69 for. Hold on, let me read you charges. They charged me with they said the bedroom. This is my old apartment, by the way. This ain't the new apartment. This is the old apartment that I already moved out of, but they still want me to pay some stuff for stuff that I guess wasn't cleaned in their opinion. But I literally, when I moved out of the apartment, I wiped everything down. I vacuumed the floor. I made sure everything was out. There was nothing left in there. Like when I left, that room was spotless. And I guess when they came in 2 days later, they're saying that the bedroom window was dirty, the mattress was stained, and the carpet bedroom was dirty. First of all, I vacuumed it. Okay. I wiped down everything. And I don't know what that stain. I don't know about what you're talking about, the stain the mattress. I really don't. I didn't spill anything on the mattress. I really didn't. That had to be there before. But I think what they do is like they just don't change out the mattress. So every time somebody new comes in, they're always going to charge them with it. Right. So I just think it's a way for them to get money just to, so I can so they can get extra money. I really think it's just they trying to play me. I know what I did. I know I cleaned that room. I took care of that room. So I'm not gonna pay anything. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna debate on that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go back and forth. So the way I can dispute it is I gotta send them an email, and they have to follow up with me within 30 days. So that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna continue to fight it because even though it's $34.69, but I'm not gonna take responsibility for something I know I didn't do, right? So I'm gonna continue to. That's what's gonna go down. You might have to. Hopefully, we won't have to go to court. I really don't think it's that serious. I'm like, bro, just drop these charges, man. Like I literally did everything I was supposed to do before I moved out. So you shouldn't even be doing that. But that's what's going down, man. But yeah, no, I've had a lot of stuff. I've been having a lot of stuff going on this week. But I'm just glad to be able to make that transition. I did my yoga class this morning, and then yeah, that was fun. Like that was probably my last yoga class at this studio in Mason before I go back up to do the one in Kent. The difference between the one here and the one I usually do in Kent is the one here in Mason, which is where I'm from, born and raised. It's more intense. It's more of a high intensity yoga class. If you're looking for more of a challenge, I definitely recommend Hi-Fi Yoga. Those of you who are in the Mason, Cincinnati area, definitely that's a great yoga studio. When the one I went to, it wasn't necessarily supposed to be hot, but it was burning. Like it was, I think the room was close to 100, but it wasn't really close enough. But it wasn't really 100 degrees to call it hot yoga. Hot yoga is where it's like over 100 degrees. But this was called the warm vinyasa. they say it was warm. It was supposed to be warm in there, but it was hot to me. Like I was dripping bullets. So, but it was good though. I had a great time. Definitely a great experience. So if I do decide to come back home, I will definitely be hitting that studio up, because it does wonders, man. I'm telling you, if you do yoga, it really does a lot of benefits for your body, increase your flexibility, your strength. So I've really been hip to it. And I'm gonna continue to make it a routine. Like every week, once a week, I'm gonna incorporate yoga because I've always needed to do stretching in my routine since I lift about 4 times a week. So I always try to keep that body loose, right? Because I've had instances where it's gotten real tight to the point where I could hardly walk because like the hips, like my hips, hamstrings, and all that, they was like not having it. So that's why I try to make a priority to continue to keep stretching, continuing to keep my body loose, flexible, as flexible as it can be. But yeah, I'm just getting the good habits though. I'm really trying to get into good habits though. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I've had a lot going on. As you can see, I know that I spoke a lot about all these new updates that's been going on in my life. But we're going to get into the podcast, though. We're going to get into the podcast. I just thought I'd just give y'all some quick updates on what was going on. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of moving pieces going on right now because I'm in that transition period. I'm leveling up, man. I'm just going to continue to keep raising my game and continue to keep elevating myself in my life. That's what's going to happen. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get to the podcast today, and I'm going to talk about leveling up. So I'm gonna talk about leveling up. So this is how I want to kind of start out the podcast, right? I always like to start off with some common examples that people may be familiar with or people have done before and can relate to, right? So this example right here that I have is going to tie into what I really want to talk about today. So what I want to start off by mentioning is how everybody at some point has played video games in their life. So when you think about video games, right, and you play these different games, okay, like some games that I like, some of the old school games, Pac-Man, Galaga, right? Those are like my two all-time favorite old, like I think they were like came out in the 80s or something. Like definitely my top two favorite arcade games, Pac-Man and Galaga, right? And for the new folks, like for the new generation, like my generation, I know a lot of people play like Call of Duty, GTA was a big one, NBA 2K, Madden. Those are like some popular games. There's probably some other ones out there, but I know those are the ones that I mainly played. Right. I know that for my gamers, they can probably name all type of games. I actually used to be a gamer, but I'm not anymore. Like I just kind of lost interest when I went to college. Like I brought my PS3 up, but I didn't really play it. But so I just kind of stopped playing after that. And I really haven't played games since. I really haven't played games like that since like when I was a freshman in college, and that was like 3 years ago. So I've really like gotten off the game wave. But I know like my previous roommate was a huge gamer. Like he played like it was his full-time job, right? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what I want to emphasize when I talk about video games is that video games have certain levels, right? So when you're playing a game, like Pac-Man, Galaga, Call of Duty, you know what I'm saying? Like any game that has levels on it, right? What you notice is that in order to beat the game, you have to go through certain levels, right? And what you notice about the different levels, when you level up in the game, like Pac-Man, you know that when you finish a maze, you got to do a different maze, right? You got to continue to keep doing the mazes until you eventually maybe reach the highest one. Now, I've never gotten to that level, right? I haven't. I've always wondered, like, what is the ultimate maze? Of course, I'm pretty good at Pac-Man, but I ain't that good. But you know that each time you move up in the level, it gets harder, right? You know what I'm saying? Like no level is the same. When you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, level 4, and so on, you realize that the level of difficulty progressively gets harder, right? But that means that At each level, though, once you level up, you know that you're one step closer to beating the game, right? So maybe there's some stuff you see on level one that you don't see on level two, right? So each level presents different challenges that you got to face, right? And so what I want to make sure y'all know is that, some people, when they seeing like difficult obstacles come up in their life, right, they look at it as a setback. But really, when you start to see more challenging obstacles come into your life, that means that you are entering on another level in your life, right? So if you start to see stuff get harder, right, don't look at it as, oh, like this is a setback, like I'm going backwards. No, you're going forward because each stage in life gets progressively harder. So, but if you want to if you want to continue to keep going higher, right, you got to know how to maneuver your way through the current level that you're on in order to get to the next level. Let me say it again. If you want to go to another level in your life, right, you have to know how to navigate through those challenges on that current level so you can get to the next level, right? Because you can't go from level one you can't go from level 1 to level 10 without completing level 1, then level 2, then level 3. There's levels to this, right? So in order to beat a level, you have to know how to maneuver your way through the challenges on the current level. So if you're on level 5 in a game and you want to get to level 6, you have to know how to beat level 5 in order to be able to go to level 6, right? It's just like with school, okay? When you are in school, like school is a great example because when you move up each grade, right? When you go from preschool to 12th grade, every grade is a little harder, right? I know that I was one step closer to graduating when I was getting into high school, right? And I knew that I was in a different grade. I knew I was in a higher grade based off the work I had to do, right? So I remember when I was in like doing when I was in like third, fourth grade elementary school. Um, I remember school used to be fun. Okay, school used to be fun. Like I used to really enjoy doing some of the work. Like school was just so much easier, man. Like, doing basic math, I didn't have to I could just do like 2 plus 2, 3 plus 2, right? I was just enjoying math because I was doing good. I was comfortable, figuring out that type of stuff because it was easy. Like even science used to be fun. Like science used to be like, you just do experiments, right? You just have fun with it. You don't have to worry about doing no analysis, right? You don't have to worry about doing no complicated stuff. I feel like school, like literally back then, was simple, right? Like third, fourth, second, third, fourth grade, right? I'm just like, all right, bet. Some of this work, it was good. Like I remember back then I used to be really good. Well, I still am, but I was like the king of multiplication tables. Like I could literally go up to like the 20s. Like literally I could multiply, up to 20, like 20 times 20, right? Like that was like that to me. Like I was having fun, right? But literally when I got to high school, right, it wasn't as fun anymore. Why? Because it was difficult. Like when I took classes like algebra, bro, like I had to go from like adding 2 plus 2 to now there's variables involved. It's not just 2 plus 2 anymore, right? Like now it's 2x plus 4 parentheses 2x plus 6 square. Like, what I'm saying? Like you get the algebra, like you ever take algebra, you just like, what in the world? Like, where are these variables? What is X and Y, Z, A, B, C, D? What does all this stuff mean, right? I'm just like, bruh, because that's how I knew I was in. I wasn't in elementary school no more. I was on another level because the classes got harder, right? When I took that algebra, chemistry, bro, that was difficult. Chemistry, man, I remember that was my first C of my entire school career. Like that was the class I got the first C in, and I was like, man, what in the world? Like that's how I knew it was hard. Like usually my parents were like, okay, make sure, my parents emphasize importance of getting good grades. They're like, make sure you get like A's and B's. But they knew I was struggling in that class if they were okay with me having a C, because that class was difficult, man. Like chemistry, English, writing papers, right? You used to be able to have fun in English, write your own story, but now they make you write analysis papers. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, when you move through your stages in life, it's going to get harder, right? Like if you want to make an advancement in your life, you got to be willing to take some of those challenges that come with it, right? So like, in a relationship, if you want to be able to take your relationship to the next level, you got to know how to deal with some stuff that you haven't dealt with before. So maybe you say, okay, maybe you used to seeing each other, you were just girlfriend, boyfriend at the time, right? And you decide, okay, let's get married, right? You're gonna have to deal with the fact of living together, because that's a challenge that most people deal with, right? You can't get caught up in like all the glitz and the glamour of marriage, because marriage is difficult, right? Like people will tell you, like, I've heard people talk about how, living together is probably the hardest part, right? And if you don't know how to handle each other together, how are you going to be able to get married, right? And that's just a challenge you have to do, because there's some stuff that you may find out about your partner that you didn't find out before. You're going to have to learn how to compromise, right? That's the key to having a healthy relationship, is knowing how to accept each other, but also coming to compromise, man. Because you got to get out your comfort zone when you move into a different challenge. You can't always do the same thing that you were used to doing on one level. And when you move up, you got to learn how to approach it differently, right? Because what you were doing on level one, so let's say you playing a game, going back to the video game example, you on level one, right? You may be able to do some stuff, easily on level one that you cannot do easily when you get to level 2 or 3, right? You're gonna have to change up some stuff. You have to change up your approach, change up your strategy, because life is about strategy. It's about knowing how to strategize through it, knowing how to find, different approaches in order to handle that situation. So like I said, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you decide you want to get married, you want to move in together, right? There's some stuff that you're going to have to compromise on. Just like the thermostat, have been used to living in an environment where you keep it at 75 degrees, but then your partner, right, when they go to bed, they like to turn it down to 65 degrees, which is 10 degrees colder than what you used to. So how do you compromise, right? How do you handle if you have somebody who's used to leaving stuff out and you used to being clean? How do you handle that person, right? That's part of the challenge. The challenge is you have to learn how to be able to maneuver through those challenges. You have to find compromises, right? So maybe meeting somewhere in the middle. So let's say, hey, that's a little too cold. Like you got to meet somewhere, you got to meet halfway. You just have to be able to change up what you are used to doing normally in order to be able to maneuver your way to that level, right? So, what I've noticed about people who are able to conquer different levels in their life, they don't give up, right? They don't necessarily give up, they just change up. And what I mean by changing up, I'm not saying they change who they are as a person. They don't change who they are. They don't change who their values are. But what they do is strategize differently, right? Because like I said, you can't always use the same approach for each level, because they present new challenges, right? So like it's like a sports team who strategizes differently for a championship game, right? Versus an exhibition game, right? Because why? Because there's more involved. It's better team. You're playing against the best of the best at that point. So you cannot use the same approach that you would use for a little preseason game versus if you were doing a championship game. It's just like when you want to become a an owner of a business, you cannot have that same mindset as an employee, because as an employee, it's easy for you to be able to go to work, do it a minimum, do what they ask you, and then walk out, right? But as a business owner, you may not be able to go out of your business at the same time every day. So as an employee, you may have certain hours, right? So if you want to be that business owner, you want to own your business, right? You cannot use that employee mindset. You cannot have that average employee mindset that says, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna just clock in, do my minimum requirements, and then clock out. Because as an owner, it's more overall. You're looking at your business as a whole. You have to make sure that everything is clean. You got to be able to walk around. You got to be able to assist your employees. You have to be able to make sure that your finances is good. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you we're not used to looking at financial statements as an employee. You didn't have to worry about breaking even as an employee, right? Because it wasn't up to you. It wasn't your job because it wasn't your responsibility. But as you get up, as you move up in your career, you're gonna have to take on responsibilities. And if you're not willing to take on those responsibilities, then you're just gonna continue to be on the same level, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean don't give up. So when the challenge is presented, that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, just give up, like, because in order for you to beat that level, like I said, you have to be able to know how to strategize differently. You have to be able to know how to approach that situation differently, right? You may have to just change up some things, right? So like when I was in school, right? When I was in school, I'll give you an example. When I was in chemistry class, okay, I'll just use that as an example because that was one of my hardest classes. Honestly, I just need to pass the class, right? I just had to pass the class. That was really it. I couldn't necessarily just do the work and turn it in and then get an A because it didn't work like that. Like literally, I had to change up my approach because I know that the work was harder. I wasn't able to just get it like that, right? I wasn't just able to just pick it up just like with a snap of a finger. Like I know some of them people in that class were really smart. They knew that material. I did not. That was foreign. That was like learning a foreign language to me. Chemistry was like learning Spanish, right? And we'll get to that. I mean, I took Spanish too. We'll get that in a minute. But I remember like in chemistry class, like I had to change up how I went about doing work. Instead of like spending hours and hours trying to figure it out on my own, I had to seek help. I had to go to that teacher and be like, hey man, like I need you to stay after school with me. We need to go over this. We need to break down. I need to change up how I study. Right. I had to change up because I couldn't just do the work because it wasn't coming to me like that. So there's going to be times where you may have to ask for help. You may have to reach out. Right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Right. Because people feel like if I ask for help, that's a weakness. No, it's not. Because in order for you to get ahead, in order for you to really build yourself up, you're going to need those connections, right? No man or woman is an island. I remember that quote in one of Eric Thomas's videos where no man is an island. Like nobody can really do anything on their own. There's no such thing as being able to do everything by yourself because you don't know everything. So sometimes you have to reach out to somebody who may be an expert. Just like with me, my teacher was supposed to be an expert, right? Because he got his certification that says he could teach chemistry. So sometimes you got to reach out to the experts. You have to reach out to people who may know the business more than you. And it's not a fact, it's not a sign that says you're weak that you can't do it. It's just like you can go further with somebody than without somebody, right? So if you want to go further in your life, you have to know how to reach out, right? You have to be able to come up with a different strategy in order for you to be able to continue to level up in your life, right? So like I said, like don't necessarily look at the obstacle. Don't necessarily look at, oh, this ain't what I was used to, right? Don't necessarily look at it as it's a setback. Like I said, you're leveling up. And so all you have to do is just know how to maneuver through that, right? Because average people become content with being on the same level. But successful people are always looking to level up, right? So you don't want to be at that point where you just want to give up on a level, right? When some people when they playing the game, right, they trying to get past a certain level, they get frustrated and they just quit, right? That's how life can do you sometimes. Life will, you'll be on a level that you feel like you cannot beat, and you'll just be like, man, I just don't want to do anymore. Because if you do that, that means you taking a step back. Like I said, when you level up, you one step closer, right? You one step closer to whatever it is you want to do. So you cannot, retreat to just going back and just being content with being on that level, right? It's just like when I was working for this company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I remember like the demeanor of some of them people that I worked with. And I just remember like, where my head was at versus where their head was at. Like, yeah, I took the job, first of all, because first of all, I thought that it was going to be a good financial opportunity. I wasn't necessarily concerned about what I was going to have to do, because I honestly didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought that we were just going to, when they were telling me about the job description, they were like, yeah, you get to go out, you get to travel to different, different areas around the city. You get to like meet different people. You get to, have, you get to build some of those relationships with those customers, and you get to make pretty good tips, right? So I was like, I wasn't thinking about it as the work part necessarily. I was thinking more of it as building those relationships. But I was in for a rude awakening, man, because literally I remember some of them houses we had to go to. I remember we would have to go to the landfill, right? Over here in Cincinnati, it's called Rumpke. And I remember like having to go to that dumpster, being able to pick up like some of the most foul things I've ever seen. And I remember my mind at the time, being I was 19 at the time. I just had finished my freshman year, and I remember like, man, like, this is cool for a little bit, like, but I cannot make this a career. I cannot come home, smell like garbage, right, and think that this is going to be my career. Like, there was so much more that literally fueled me to be able to get up out of that situation. But I could tell like the people there were much older than me. They were like, in their late 20s, mid 30s. Some dude, I think the oldest dude there was like over 40. I think he was like 47, 48 at the time. And they was just like cool with it, bro. Like they was like, this is what I've been doing. I don't see myself doing anything else. And I'm like, bro, you really want to look back at your life and be like, man, like I was a garbage collector. Like, no disrespect, man. Like, I'm just saying, like, for me, I couldn't stay on that level because I knew that there was just so much more for me to be able to do. Right. And so I had to just kind of reflect on that experience, reflect on, what I was doing during that job. And I was like, I had to really say, do I really want to have this as a career? Do I really want to go around and pick up people's garbage for a living? Do I really want to just be like this? Like I just felt, man, it was just not good, man. Because I remember you would have to sometimes you have to work outside in the summer. It was hot, right? It was like, it was like 100 degrees out. And some of the stuff, the customers would have you do, sometimes they would make you, like, they would want you to like basically pick up concrete. You would have to like move furniture, mattresses. Some of them had whole house clean outs where they had like 3 stories of junk. And I'm just like, bruh, how do I find purpose out of that, man? And that's where I was like, I cannot just be satisfied. Like that's what motivated me to continue to do well in school. That's what motivated me to be able to find my purpose, like literally sit down and reflect, what do I want to continue to do? That's what motivated me to do this podcast, because I found more meaning to do this, right? So if you're in a position where you at your job and you thinking to yourself, this ain't it, you gotta look for ways to level up, right? You gotta find what it is that's in you. Whatever gift is in you, that's what you gotta go after, man. You don't have to just feel stuck at a place you don't like. If you ain't satisfied working at a fast food place, you ain't satisfied just doing heavy labor, stuff that really ain't giving you no meaning, right? You have to be able to discover what is it that I'm good at, because God has given us all gifts. There is something unique about you, but the reason you haven't found it is because you didn't take time to be able to discover that yourself, right? You didn't take time to really sit down and know who you are. And the reason that's hard is because sometimes we get caught up in what other people want us to do. We get caught up in trying to please everybody. We get caught up in trying to pursue something that everybody else wants us to pursue, that we don't sit down and think, what do I want to do? And sometimes it's scary, and it's scary like to go after something that you don't know is for sure. Because when we go to, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with going to work for somebody, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being an employee, but sometimes people feel comfortable knowing that you're going to an established place. Okay, some people feel like, oh, like, I can tell, like, I get a different reaction, when I say I'm gonna work for somebody versus I want to work for myself. What's the difference? The difference is whoever that somebody is has already been established. When people say, I'm going to work for Amazon, I'm going to work for Google, Apple, Target, Walmart, McDonald's. Like when you name a corporation that's already been established, people are like, oh, okay. Yeah, 401k, that's safe. That looks like a great career, you know what I mean? People feel comfortable, you know, saying that because they know that it's already those companies that I just named have already been established. But sometimes when you have to work on establishing yourself, when you say, I want to do this for myself, I want to do it, like I want to go I want to pursue a singing career. I want to, open my own business, with like 500, 600 different locations, right? When you talk about a plan to some people that hasn't been established yet, people will give you different reaction. They'll be like, ooh, like, are you sure you want to do that? Maybe you could just, go up here, work for a few minutes, like people will kind of give you that, they'll kind of like tell you like in a different way, like they're supporting you, but they're like at the same time, they're scared of you, right? And sometimes, when you hear other people's opinions, when you try to listen to people's different logic, right, that can kind of scare you as well, to be able to go out and do something for yourself and be able to level up for yourself, right? So one thing is you got to stop listening to other people, um like other people's negativity, right? And I'm not saying like don't value their advice, don't take their advice, but sometimes if you have a set plan for what you want to do, you have to be able to go out over and do it, right? If God has called you to go out and pursue something, that's what you got to do. Just like I've mentioned this verse many times, Joshua 1-9, I'm in that verse all day. Be strong and courageous, right? Do not be afraid. Like that's what he was telling Joshua in that little expert in the chapter verse chapter 1-9, right? When he was telling not chapters 1-9, but chapter 1 verses 1-9, excuse me, when he was telling Joshua to be able to step up and be a leader, right? And be able to take control. Sometimes you got to be able to take control of whatever it is you want to do in your life, right? But you cannot escape the challenges, right? You have to know how to handle different challenges, right? You have to know how to be able to navigate through them. Because I wish I could tell you that everything that you try, everything that you want to, accomplish is going to just fall in your lap. I wish I could be the one to tell you that, but I know for a fact that it's not going to. Right. When I first started doing this podcast, when I first started putting out episodes, I'm thinking I'm just going to get all these listeners. I'm going to get all these people to come to my page, but I had to continue to put in the work and I had to continue to keep pursuing it, right? The challenge was I was trying to get listeners, but over time, like when we talk about strategy, right? At first I didn't promote it. I didn't really use Instagram. I was stubborn. I didn't want to use social media to be able to spread it, but I had to switch up my approach. If I wanted to reach more people, I had to put it in a place where people could see it, and that was social media, right? And that's where my followers continue to grow. And even then, like I told you guys before, like when I had more of momentum, when I had some momentum going, when I had guests coming on the show, when I had Miss Tiffany as my co-host, right? In the middle of it, right, she had to bounce off. She had to bounce, like she had to step down, right? And that kind of took me back a little bit, but I knew that in that moment that I was making a transition, right? I'm most likely going to transition into a different level, right? I mean, we could have a different co-host on here, you know what I'm saying? And be able to take this podcast to places that I never thought it could go, right? So you cannot always you can't be scared of challenges, right? Even if you do get that momentum going, in your business, in your singing career, in your acting career, music, I mean, whatever your career is, I don't know what it is, you'll maybe you want to move up into, you maybe want to, be promoted in a company, district manager, whatever, whatever you want to do in your life, you have to be willing to know how to maneuver through those challenges when it comes to doing different things, right? So like as an owner, as a business owner, right, you may be experiencing 1 year where you got tremendous sales. You're like, oh, I sold like 500, $600,000 in sales. There may be a time where you have to figure out when your sales, there may be a year where it's like, oh, that year it took a little hit, right? and it may not be that your product is bad. It may just be like for unforeseen circumstances, like the COVID-19. Like a lot of businesses had to, they had to step back, right? A lot of businesses took a hit, right? But the ones who stayed steady were the ones that had a plan to know how to maneuver through that difficult level in that phase. And that's why some businesses are still alive today and some are not, because it's all about planning. It's all about having that recession-proof plan in order for you to continue to move forward, right? So as I come to a close on this show, I just want to remind you, I just want to just re-emphasize, right? Knowing the different levels in your life, right? So if you start to experience more difficult challenges, more unforeseen challenges that hit your life, just know that you're moving up in your life, right? Because if you stay on the same level, right, then it's not going to, it's basically you're comfortable, right? You have to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable if you want to move up. That's the thing with moving up, is if you want to move up, you're going to take more risks. There's going to be more risk involved. So you cannot be afraid of risk. Just like when you ride a bigger roller coaster, right? So it's like, you move from the kiddie roller coaster to the bigger roller coaster. What challenges is there? What are some challenges? Well, it's a lot bigger, it's faster, right? It's a lot more risk because people can get hurt. It's a lot of instances that can happen, but you will never know how fun that could be if you don't take that risk. You never know how much fun you could be missing out on if you are scared to be able to, go after whatever it is you want to go after. So do not be afraid. Do not feel like you have to live your life for somebody else. Take control of whatever you want to do in your life. And please do not hold yourself back for nobody, and just continue to go after it. Continue to keep leveling up in your life, and be the best version of yourself that you can be. But all right, man, that's really my time. Just to kind of remind y'all of keep up with us on keep up with me, I should say, on Instagram at Disinfecting Your Life. No spaces, no capitals. Once again, on Instagram, that's at Disinfecting Your Life, no spaces, no capitals, where you can get all the updates about new episodes that's coming out, all the details and everything like that of what's going on with this podcast. You can also catch up on IGTV. So if you click the icon for IGTV, you'll be able to see all the What Would You Do Wednesday live sessions that I have every Wednesday. I'm gonna keep the time at 10 p.m. Eastern for right now. I might move it up, but as of right now, it is going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern time instead of 11 p.m. because, like I said, Miss Tiffany is no longer with us, so I don't have to record episodes late anymore. So I can, basically record whenever I get the chance to. So that's what's going to continue to happen. I'm going to continue to keep putting out episodes for y'all, continue to bring the passion, continue to keep that same energy, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just strategizing differently. Like I said, I'm strategizing differently, throughout this new phase. I feel like this podcast is leveling up. It's going to go to a new level that it has not been before. And so I'm really excited for what God has in store for me. So that's what's going to go down. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that's at DISN Your Life 1. So our Twitter username is DISN Your Life and the number 1. Okay. And then also follow our Facebook community page. Definitely go check us out at our Facebook community page. It's called Disinfect Your Life. It's not disinfecting your life. It's Disinfect Your Life on Facebook. And the reason is because, like I said before, Facebook be tripping with the ing. They wouldn't allow me to add it. So I had to make it short for Disinfect Your Life. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, those of you who are on Facebook more than Instagram or Twitter, definitely check us out on Facebook, man. And also buy our merch. So if you go on Instagram, you'll be able to go to the direct link that has our merch, Step Towards Your Purpose shirts. They're on sale. And I also got hoodies and other shirts. So definitely go check that out. But yeah, that's really it, man. But like I said, this your boy Chris Simmons coming to you with another podcast episode, man. It was great to be on today. And I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Take care, y'all. Peace.